Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of 3D Thursday. I'm MacAttack001, and let's jump right into it. You heard me mention in the Frostgrave Friday video that I had ordered some hemostats. They actually arrived. No, I'm not planning any surgery or anything like that, but for getting into tight spaces to remove supports on some of these 3D models, like this fellow here, this dwarven paragon, I think this is going to work really well because it has a much better profile than my multi-tool. So, the curved one, they came as a set. I don't really know if it's going to be that advantageous, but we'll see. You never can tell. So, I've had the 3D printer now, the MakerGear M2, for, well, I got it last Tuesday, and I've been printing pretty much non-stop. And it's been a lot of fun. I wouldn't say that it's been all sunshine, lollipops, and pixie farts. There have been, well, there was one instance where we had a misfire. And, but that's all right. It's a learning experience. One of the other things I found was that I had, on a couple of my pieces, it was starting to warp just a little bit on the edges. And actually, it was on the roof pieces of this. And I should have built a raft. That's what they suggest for the townhouse from Printable Scenery. And what a raft is that it's this big support network and, that goes underneath your model, and it allows for the printing of uneven models. I didn't do that on that, and so there was just a little bit of warping on the corners, nothing bad. However, since that point, I have started using what's called a brim, and that basically helps adhere the objects that you're printing to the build plate. So I've been doing that, and it just takes a little bit of effort to get them off. As I dial in the temperature for the filament that I'm using, and I'm using eSun Black PLA now, I guess it's the Pro version. Do they really have an amateur version? I don't know. But anyway, as I get dialed in on the temperature, hopefully I'll be able to stop using the brims. And now, in addition to brims, there's skirts, which help with the stability. And then, of course, there are rafts, which are intended, I guess, for uneven models. Now, if I'm mistaken on this, I hope somebody will pipe up in the comments down below and let me know what I got wrong. So, like Greg, and that's Greg _ FL on his channel. I did the two dwarven paragons because I'm a huge Dragon Age fan, and so when I saw these, I just was like, oh my god, I have to print these out. So I'm really pleased with these, and so they were actually some of the first, well, they were the first two models that I printed out. Then I went with this, which is the townhouse. See how tough this stuff is? I love it. I went with the townhouse from Printable Scenery, and I backed their Winterdale 2 Kickstarter, and so I have plenty of their stuff to print out. But I don't want to just rehash everything that Greg has already shown us, because he did a really good job. So I went to Thingiverse, and one of the things that I got was this fountain. It's an octagonal fountain, and I will put here the individual's name, and because I forget it off the top of my head, and I'm sorry about that. When you get old, things start slipping. Okay, so printed out the fountain. Again, using the 3 coats of hairspray, the purple Aquanet. This model stuck very, very well to the build plate, and it got to the point where I literally had to go in at the corner, and I used this little pry bar. So I got it at the corner, and I didn't go down to the glass. Remember, I had the brim on it, so I went down to this corner. Oops. Yeah, I did it this way. And I had the piece of wood underneath this, so then I could just pry up. And it just made the tiniest of 2 little score marks on the corner, but it did get the item up. And I was kind of worried about it, because this is not an item that you want to be grabbing and torquing from the top. So, like I said, not all sunshine, lollipops, and pixie farts. There have been a couple instances where I was a little bit nervous about the outcome, and one fugazi. Okay, so now, jumping over to the Dwarven Paragons, we're going to bring up some pictures here for you to look at. The first picture is the, excuse me. The first picture is the Dwarven Paragon, and with the Warhammer, the double Warhammer held over his head. And there you can actually see the supports. Now, in the second picture, I've gone in and with the red marker highlighted where all those supports are. In the third picture, you can see in the rear, again, a lot of support going on there. In the fourth picture, I highlight it. Picture number 5. This is the Dwarven Paragon with the single Warhammer held in front of him. And he turned out really well, even though there were supports. And you can see in the second picture, there were actually supports behind the Warhammer and even down between his legs. And I was a little bit concerned about getting those, and that's why I initially ordered the hemostats. However, being the impatient fellow that I am, I decided to go ahead and use my multi-tool and see if I could get those out, and I did. And I would have to say that that model, the one with the Warhammer in front of him, actually it was easier to get the supports out from him than it was the double-headed Warhammer Paragon. In picture number 7, you can see there on the side some of the cleanup spots that I've highlighted on the model. Not that bad, all things considered. I was really pleasantly surprised by that. Now I threw up another picture of the townhouse, and this time I just put a piece of plexiglass between the first level and the second level so that it would sit how it would normally go together. There's 3 additional supports that go out front, but and I threw in a couple miniatures, and these are just Reaper miniatures, like D&D miniatures in front of there. They look a little small. However, if you throw the big, slab bases that people are normally utilizing underneath their miniatures, I think that they would look actually quite a bit better. But in the grand scheme of things, I'd always rather have a model bigger than the miniatures, a little bit bigger scale than too small, because for some reason, at least to my eye, when a miniature looks like it's bigger than, let's say, like a car or something like that, it stands out to me, and I'm not sure why that is, but just to me. I don't know, maybe you guys are different. Okay, and then the final picture, Devin James is a very prolific creator, designer on Thingiverse, and he put together these sewer pieces. And again, I included the Reaper miniatures just to give us an idea of scale. And I have what I printed up set up behind me, and we'll go ahead and take the camera in for a closer look. All right, so here we go. Welcome to John's Shaky Cam. Now, the way that Devin has this stuff painted up, it looks really good. And I'm really excited about getting a full set printed out and then painted up. I have some ideas on how to paint it. So that was a curve. Here's a four-way intersection. Here's a dead end. Now there again, you can see the resolution lines, but I don't think it's that bad, especially for like tabletop stuff. Now, if I was doing like, you know, dioramas and things like that, I might be a little bit more exacting. Here's a T section, and the thing that really stands out for me on all this stuff is, first off, how strong and durable it is. I mean, this stuff is amazing. And this is with only a 10% fill, just like Greg does. And so and I went with the sewers over the dungeon because I have a whole bunch of dungeon pieces. I don't have anything that really qualifies as a sewer, and so when I saw this, I'm like, yeah, I gotta have this. And so like here, you can see that these guys are triple 1-inch corner pieces. Both of these guys there. These are actually 1x4s. They all fit together nicely, and they have magnet holes in the back. And so what I was thinking was that I have a whole bunch of magnetic mat, because I was printing out a bunch of Bogon, I think that's, or is it Zerogon maps, and then, oh, I forget who it was, but I got them off of RPG Net, and I was putting magnetic backing on them, and so I have a whole roll of this stuff, and I was like, if I put magnets in the bottom of these guys, and then I just use magnetic mat, they'll stick fine. So, because the other option is, of course, to glue some of these sections together and make set pieces that you can just drop down. You lose a lot of flexibility, but you save on setup time. I don't know. I'm going to try some of the magnets first, see how they turn out. But anyway, well, that does it for me. I hope you'll tune in tomorrow for Frostgrave Friday. We're going to be doing, showing you how I do the crypt tops. I hope you'll find that exciting. And also, just briefly going over some of the miniatures that I got in from Reaper. We're still waiting on the miniatures from North Star figures. Like they said, up to 28 days, and so far it's only been, I think, 12, so might have a ways to wait on that still. That does it for me. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.